Okay, I'm going to be talking about the discipline strategy for Teresa, which is scenario 2. I'm Cassandra Stewart, and I'm doing this for Dr. Yan's class. So we're going to go to the next slide. So, all about Teresa. She is a 4th grade student. She's 10 years old. Some of the information that was discussed was she rarely finishes her work on time. She wanders around the classroom. She never comes prepared for class. She likes to leave her book and her pencil out during her class transitions, and she's the last one to be ready. She likes to procrastinate, and because of that, she receives poor grades. So this is the method that I chose. I chose the ABC analysis method, which was the easiest one to choose for Teresa. I came up with dates to her method, and I chose dates in September. I just made them up. Times. There's my A method, my B method, my C method, and my function. I will get into why I chose this method in a minute, and why I chose these times. But it came down to teacher announcing the time for do now journaling, which is my first time, which happens to be September 2nd. Behavior, she gets out of her seat and starts to wander around the classroom. Her consequence is her seat is moved away from her peers for the day, which could be her seat is moved up to the front of the class. And her possible function was access to social attention. I skipped all the way down to the very bottom, which would be the 6th. So after a week of observation, at the end of the day, it says after a day, it was brought to the ESS team, which is the SPED team, but it's now Exceptional Students team, that a BIP should be put into place to help accommodate Teresa because she's having a hard time with monitoring seating and having simple classroom actions that are given. The behavior is NA. This is not a conversation that happens with her. This is a conversation that happens with the ESS team as well as higher up principal, vice principal, ESS team, speech team, whoever is on her IEP team. Consequences, it's not really a consequence, it's more of a plan for it, which would be a BIP plan, will be adjusted, and a meeting will be conducted, and a sensory stimulation, which is what's best for her. So why ABC should be used? When making sure an ABC analysis is complete accurately, or even a behavioral intervention plan, which is a BIP, you must make sure that you are logging and documenting everything that is happening, not only for yourself, but also for the student. You as a teacher want to make sure that the student, and in Teresa's sake, is getting the support that she is needed in and out of the classroom. Just not for her teacher, but for the staff throughout the school. Duration recording will be allowing the appropriate documentation to get the information accurate. And this allows the information to be displayed on a sheet, which here's an example of the ABC analysis that I found online for a gentleman named George. These are great to have in elementary settings because one teacher is spending all day with students and not having to move from class to class. I've not ever worked with one of those, with being in a setting all day long, so I would not know how to do that very well. Middle school setting, or middle school ideas. When you go to secondary education levels, interval level recording works best, in my opinion. This allows for multiple teachers to be able to record behaviors that happen during a specific time period. Because in middle school and high school, there are multiple classes that allow teachers to communicate with one another, as well as be able to keep accurate documentation and record of what the students are doing in and out of the classes. This allows one teacher to talk to another teacher, as well as one teacher able to log information in the Power School or whatever the district is using with their district. And it allows the teacher to communicate with the principal if there's a behavior in the classroom. But also it helps with sports coming into play in secondary, because it keeps notes, so that way not only do the teachers communicate with teachers, but coaches can be able to know what's going on in the classroom, as well as coaches being able to document what is happening out on the field, so that way teachers are aware of what's happening, so that way we can put a 1 and 1 and see, okay, this is happening in the classroom, but this is not happening on the field, or this is happening on the field, but this is not happening in the classroom. So then maybe we can see what's kind of happening and see if we can't make a intervention for that student. So I went ahead and intervened, and I did a student just like mine. So in my class, I teach 7th and 8th grade ESS, System 44 and Read 180. And I have a student just like Teresa, which is why I did this behavior plan just like mine. My 6th hour, my 6th hour goes from 3:15 to 4:20. So that's why I did my journaling based on those hours. He is in my 6th hour System 44 class. He is 13 years old and he is a male. He has a hard time being in his seat and he likes to wander in the class. He doesn't like when I must redirect him and constantly remind him of the procedures that are expected in my class. He never has his school supplies, and when he does, he argues with me because he doesn't want to do his schoolwork. I must sit by him when I am doing direct instruction for him to focus on his work, and if I am not looking, he will get up from his seat and either wander and cause a ruckus or leave the class. I've had to do multiple ABC methods on him, and it has helped develop a BIP, in which his case, get a pair in my class to help with his one-on-one. Documentation is always important, even if you don't think it is. So the pair that I've been able to have in my class with this student has greatly helped. I have a wide spectrum in this class that ranges from low of the spectrum to the high of the spectrum. I actually have an autistic student in my class. So he is actually, in the 4 weeks that we've been in school, has developed a relationship with this student to want to work with him. So I think that wanting to build that relationship with other students is great. But had we not had this documentation, had we not had this intervention, had we not had this plan, had there not been consequences, he would not have had this relationship with this other student. So I feel like had we not had an ABC analysis just like this with consequences, possible functions, had we not had students just like this, had we not had dates written down, a time when the behavior began, making sure that sometimes when a behavior stops, I know it's easier in elementary school than it is in middle school, but making sure that you know when the behavior stops. Sometimes it doesn't stop, it goes the whole entire period. Calculating the length of time that the behavior lasted is very difficult to do, but sometimes it's easy to do if you make a graph or a word chart. But sometimes you can also write if they're working independently or working in a group setting. That's why lesson plans come into play. So that way you can document, okay, we're doing an individual assignment or we're doing a group assignment. So that way when you go and you document the behavior that they were doing, you're putting, okay, we were individually doing this assignment or we were doing this in a group setting. So that way there is no mistake on how you are doing your paperwork. So when it does come to students in your classroom, just remember that when you are doing your methods, it's important to document everything that you need to do and research the best way solution. Thank you.